Two people, same age, same weight, same height. One heart beats 58 times a minute. The other beats 78. 20 beats apart. That gap sounds small, but do the math. Over 24 hours, the slower heart beats about 83,000 times. The faster one beats about 112,000. That is 29,000 extra beats every single day. Over a year, it adds up to more than 10 million unnecessary contractions. Same body, same blood. But one heart is doing far more work for the exact same result. And a heart that works harder every minute of every day wears out faster. That is not opinion. That is physics. The difference is not genetics. It is not medication. It is the size of the pumping chamber. One heart holds more blood per beat, so it pushes more out with each contraction. It does not need to beat as often. The other heart holds less, so it compensates with speed. Every extra beat is wasted effort. Now here is the real question. What made those two hearts different? How does one heart learn to hold more blood and pump more efficiently, while the other stays small and fast? That is what this video is about. And the answer is simpler than you would expect. It comes down to two signals arriving at the heart at the same time. One from your muscles, one from your cells. And the easiest way to trigger both at once is something most people already do but never think twice about. Walking up a hill before eating. This is not a workout tip. This is cardiac biology. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why this combination changes the physical structure of your heart. Before we start, this is educational content, not medical advice. Always consult your doctor before changing how you exercise or eat. Let us talk about the first signal, the one that comes from the hill. Your heart is a pump. It fills with blood, then squeezes to push that blood out to your body. The amount it pushes out with each squeeze is called stroke volume. A bigger chamber that fills with more blood means a higher stroke volume. A smaller chamber means a lower one. Simple. When you walk on flat ground, your heart pumps at a comfortable, steady pace. Blood comes in, blood goes out. Nothing changes. But the moment you step onto a slope, something shifts. Your legs are now pushing your entire body weight against gravity. They demand more oxygen. More blood rushes down to feed them. And at the same time, that blood has to fight its way back up to your heart against a steeper pull. The result is that more blood returns to the left ventricle, the main pumping chamber, than it would on flat ground. The chamber fills up more than usual. It stretches a little wider. Then it squeezes harder to push all that extra blood out. On flat ground, your heart cruises. On a slope, it works. Not dangerously, not painfully, but meaningfully. That difference is everything. This is not the same kind of stress that damages a heart. There are two kinds of stress a heart can experience, and understanding the difference matters. High blood pressure forces the heart to push blood through tight, stiff blood vessels. The heart is not receiving more blood. It is struggling to push the same blood through narrower pipes. Over time, the walls of the heart thicken to compensate. They become rigid. The chamber does not expand, it shrinks. That is the dangerous kind. Walking uphill creates the opposite situation. The heart receives more blood than usual and has to stretch slightly wider to handle the extra volume. No resistance, no rigidity. Just a gentle repeated stretch that tells the muscle fibers to grow longer and the chamber to expand. One kind of stress builds a stiff, thick wall. The other builds a large, flexible chamber. Same organ, completely different outcomes. And the key word is repeated. Your heart does not remodel after one walk. But when you show up day after day, the left ventricle starts to adapt. The muscle fibers inside the chamber wall grow longer. They literally add new segments to their length, like snapping extra links onto a chain. The chamber slowly expands, not because something is wrong, because the heart is building itself to handle the demand more efficiently. Over weeks and months, that chamber holds more blood. Each beat pushes more out. The heart no longer needs to beat as fast. Stroke volume goes up. Resting heart rate goes down. This is exactly why endurance athletes rest at 45 to 55 beats per minute, while most people sit around 70 to 80. Their hearts are not slower because they are weaker. Each beat is simply doing more. Less beats, more blood per beat, less wear over a lifetime. That is the mechanical explanation for the difference between 58 beats per minute and 78. One heart has been stretched and trained. The other has not. A landmark study confirms this. Dr. Benjamin Levine at UT Southwestern followed middle-aged adults who had been mostly sedentary for years. He put them on a moderate exercise program 4 to 5 days per week for 2 full years. The results were clear. The exercising group gained 18% more oxygen capacity and over 25% more elasticity in their left ventricle. Their hearts became measurably more flexible and more powerful, not slightly, dramatically. Dr. Levine described a sedentary heart as a dried rubber band, stiff and brittle. A trained heart was like a fresh one, stretchy and responsive. And the critical finding was this: the change was possible only if people started before 65. After that, the heart had already stiffened too much to reshape. That puts a timeline on it. If you are in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, your heart can still be remodeled. But that window does not stay open forever. The exercise was not extreme. No marathons, no crushing interval sessions, steady, moderate effort. Walking on an incline at a pace where you can still talk comfortably falls exactly into this range. The study did not test fasted exercise specifically, but the mechanical stimulus repeated volume loading at moderate intensity matches precisely what happens when you walk uphill consistently. So that is the first signal. The physical one. The incline fills the heart with more blood, stretches the chamber, and over time the chamber grows larger and more efficient. Every walk adds a small amount of stimulus. Over months, those small amounts add up to a measurable change in how your heart is built. Now let us talk about the second signal, the one that comes from inside your cells when you have not eaten. In a previous video, we explored how your heart switches fuel sources during fasting from glucose to fatty acids to ketones. That was about what your heart burns. This is about something completely different. This is about what your heart repairs. When you fast long enough, your cells detect that energy is running low. A sensor called AMPK activates. But AMPK does not just flip the fuel switch. It also sends a separate command to every cell in your body. Stop building new things. Start fixing what is broken. In most organs, that repair command means routine maintenance. But in the heart, it triggers something far more specific. Something that directly addresses the biggest problem aging hearts face. Your heart never stops. It beats every second of your life. To fuel that non-stop work, each heart cell is packed with thousands of tiny generators called mitochondria. These generators produce the energy that powers each contraction. They are so essential that they take up about 30% of the volume inside each heart cell. No other organ depends on its generators this heavily. Over time, some of those generators break down. A worn-out generator does not just produce less energy. It starts leaking harmful waste molecules called free radicals that damage the cell from the inside. If those broken generators are not removed, they accumulate. The heart produces less energy per beat. It gets sluggish. Recovery slows. Performance drops quietly year after year, so gradually that you do not notice until the damage has been building for a decade. This is one of the main reasons hearts weaken with age. Not because the muscle itself gives up, because the generators inside the muscle cells are failing and nobody is clearing them out. AMPK is the trigger that starts removing them. When AMPK activates during a fast, it launches a targeted cleanup process called mitophagy. Not general cleaning, not random recycling, targeted removal of damaged mitochondria specifically. The body knows exactly which generators are failing and goes after them one by one. Inside each heart cell, a protein called pink one acts as an inspector. It checks every generator. Healthy ones pass. Damaged ones get flagged. Then another protein Parkin wraps the flagged generator and sends it to be disassembled. The raw materials get recycled to build new clean, efficient generators that produce more energy with less waste. Old parts out, new parts in. The heart cell is now running on better hardware. This is your heart replacing its own worn-out parts. Not through surgery, not through medication, through a biological program that activates when you simply stop eating for long enough. And the longer you fast within a safe window, the more thorough this cleanup becomes. So now you have two separate signals. The physical signal from the incline stretches and enlarges the heart chamber, teaching it to hold and move more blood per beat. The chemical signal from fasting cleans and replaces broken generators inside each heart cell, restoring the energy supply to peak condition. Each signal alone would improve your heart, but they target completely different parts of the problem. One changes the architecture, the other changes the machinery. And that is what makes this combination unlike anything else. When they arrive at the same time, something remarkable happens. Walking uphill while fasting means your heart is being stretched by extra blood volume at the exact moment when its cells are running the deepest cleanup program they have. The incline demands more from the heart. The fast ensures the heart has the internal repair systems running to meet that demand cleanly. The chamber is expanding while the power supply inside each cell is being upgraded. It is like renovating a house while simultaneously upgrading the electrical wiring, both jobs happening at once and neither one interfering with the other. And because the effort is low, there is no flood of inflammation. High-intensity training triggers cleanup too, but it also creates heavy inflammation, which means the body spends days repairing damage from the workout itself before it can focus on deeper cell work. Low-intensity walking avoids that trade-off entirely. The repair signal is clean, no collateral damage. The heart benefits from both signals without paying an inflammation tax. This is also why you do not need to walk fast or push yourself to exhaustion. The magic is not in the intensity. It is in the combination. A gentle slope, an empty stomach, a pace where you could hold a conversation. That is enough. The two signals do the rest. This is why the combination is more effective than either one alone. Not slightly more, significantly more. Two separate biological programs converging on the same organ at the same time, both pushing it in the same direction toward greater efficiency. You are not stacking two habits for convenience. You are triggering a response that neither habit can produce on its own. There is a reason this works so well. And it is not because some biohacker discovered it last year. Your body was designed for exactly this combination. We have talked before about how our ancestors lived without regular meals. But here is the part we have not discussed. They also did not live on flat ground. There were no paved roads, no level sidewalks. The terrain they crossed every day was hills, valleys, rocky slopes, and uneven paths that changed elevation constantly. Their hearts were not just adapting to hunger, they were adapting to moving uphill while hungry. That is a very specific combination of physical stretch and cellular repair happening at the same time day after day for millions of years. Not by choice, by necessity. The next meal was always somewhere else, and the ground between here and there was never flat. The hearts that could handle both pressures at once, the ones that expanded their chambers under volume load and cleaned their generators during low fuel, those were the hearts that kept people alive long enough to have children. The hearts that could not do both at the same time simply could not keep up. They did not pass on their genes. Every mechanism we have talked about today, the chamber stretching from incline, walking the damaged generators, being replaced during fasting, both signals arriving together. All of it was built by natural selection, responding to one very specific lifestyle. Movement on uneven ground before eating. That is the environment your heart was shaped by. When you walk uphill before breakfast, you are not inventing a routine. You are returning to the original one. Modern life, with its flat floors, constant food, and hours of sitting, broke the pattern. But the program never disappeared. It just went dormant. One hill and one skipped meal is enough to wake it up. Now, before you head out the door tomorrow morning, a few things you need to know. Combining fasting with exercise adds a layer that fasting alone does not have. If you are pregnant, breastfeeding, have a diagnosed heart condition, use insulin for diabetes, are being treated for an eating disorder, or are under 18, talk to your doctor first. And pay attention to how you feel during the walk, not just before or after. Severe dizziness that does not ease after sitting for a couple of minutes, stop. Heart racing or beating irregularly, stop. Chest tightness, confusion, or feeling like you might faint, stop immediately and see a doctor. Stay hydrated. A glass of water with a small pinch of salt before you walk makes a real difference. Start with a gentle slope. Walk at a pace that feels comfortable. Build up gradually. The point is not to test your limits. The point is to give your heart the right signal safely over time. So here is the full picture. Walking uphill fills your heart with more blood, stretches the pumping chamber, and over time trains it to push more with each beat. Fasting activates your cell's repair system, clears out broken energy generators inside the heart, and replaces them with efficient new ones. When both happen together, your heart is simultaneously being reshaped from the outside and rebuilt from the inside. Two signals, one organ, both pushing in the same direction, architecture and machinery improving at the same time. The result is a heart that pumps more blood per beat, beats fewer times per minute, produces energy more cleanly, and stays flexible for longer, all from a walk up a hill before your first meal. No equipment, no gym membership, no complicated plan. Just gravity and empty stomach, and the willingness to show up consistently. Not a workout plan, not a fitness trend, a biological upgrade that has been available to you your entire life. You just did not know your heart was waiting for the signal. Here is a question I want you to think about. If moderate, steady effort can reshape the heart just as effectively as high-intensity intervals, what does that mean for how we think about exercise? Drop your answer in the comments. And while you are there, tell me, do you walk fasted? What do you notice? One sentence is enough. I read every one. If this changed how you think about your morning routine, send it to someone who walks every day without realizing what is happening inside their chest. Subscribe if you want to understand what your body is actually doing when you are not paying attention. There is always more going on than you think. Walking uphill on an empty stomach does not just burn fat, it teaches your heart to pump stronger, cleaner, and slower. That is not a workout. That is your body remembering how it was always meant to work. I will see you in the next video.